Imagine that you're celebrating the 85th birthday of your grandmother, and your grandmother has cancer, but you're there with all of her family members, and people are singing and happy, and they're having a great time, and then someone brings up the cancer. Can you imagine other people around saying, "Well, let's not talk about that right now. Let's just rejoice in the good memories and all the rest." Now, you wouldn't say that that's automatically a problem to say, "Well, let's maybe save that conversation for a bit later." It doesn't have to be a bad thing. And yet, there's something strong about being able to be fully aware of a really bad thing and not have it undermine the larger joy that an event brings. Now, how in the world can that happen? Well, it did happen on a wonderful day in the life of Mary and Joseph and Jesus. They were at the temple and they were celebrating the birth of this child, their firstborn child. And there was a man who came up to them and said, "Yes, this child is going to be amazing. He's going to be a light. He's going to turn the light on for people. He's going to bring salvation." And you're thinking, yeah, this is wonderful. Our little baby Jesus is going to be a blessing to the world. And then Simeon spoiled the party. He said to Mary, "This child is destined to cause the rise and fall of many in Israel, and a sword is going to pierce your own soul." Like, how could he do that? Ruin the joy of the moment. And yet, he wasn't afraid of talking about that challenge in the midst of great joy, because this was reality, and he knew that this was actually a blessing for Mary to hear. She needed to know that the life of Jesus was not all about smiles and happiness. The life of Jesus would bring many people to hate him, not because he had done anything wrong, but because their own thoughts would be exposed, their own natural inclination to trust in themselves rather than to trust in God, that pride that infiltrates all of us. There's a part of us that does not like the idea of needing God to do anything for us. There were many people who didn't like Jesus, to the point that they crucified Jesus, with Mary at the foot of the cross, seeing her own son tortured. Did at that moment she remember the words of Simeon so many years before, "A sword will pierce your own soul"? That would not have made it hurt less, but it would put the hurt in perspective. That it wasn't a sign that God had lost control. Yes, life has many, many pains in it. Pains that come as a consequence of our witness for Christ. Pains that come just because we have a sinful body and live in a sinful world. You might be tempted at times to imagine that that pain is evidence that God doesn't love you, that God has lost control. Let Simeon's words to Mary be a reminder that God can know something challenging is coming and still be completely confident that everything is going to work out for your best, for Mary's best, for the world's best, yes, for your best.